Hello YouTube, this is Goddard Radio Moscow here again with another beer review for you today. Now for this one I'm going to do another American beer, and this is from a state that I've not actually done a beer review from yet today. And out of the 23 different states I've visited in the US, this isn't one of them, so hopefully in the next few years I can get out and actually visit it. This is from Oregon, this one. This is the Rogue Ales Yellow Snow IPA. There was a number of these came in at Thistle News, and I just picked this one because I like the name of it. But if you are watching from the Aberdeenshire area of Scotland, Thistle News, a little newsagents on Holborn Street in the city of Aberdeen. You'll find their Facebook link in the video description there. They've got a good selection of Danish and American craft beer in there, and some other random stuff as well, so definitely go and check them out. A shout out as well to Clements Homebrew, who are one of my subscribers. They've commented and watched a number of my videos as well. They've got a lot of good videos there on homebrewing, and they do some beer reviews as well, so go and check their channel out. Again, that's in the video description for you. But anyways, as is usual with my beer reviews, I'll just take you through a little bit of a history of the brewery. This is another quite interesting one to talk about. This seems to be a bit more of an established American craft brewery rather than being quite a new one. But as is usual, if you are simply just interested in the tasting of this beer, then feel free to fast forward towards the last few minutes of the video and you will catch that particular segment. But anyway, the brewery is from Newport, and this is just sort of between the cities of Salem and Eugene, Oregon. And then obviously you have the city of Portland, which is the largest city in Oregon, just in the north towards the border with the Washington state up there. But this brewery was founded when Jack Joyce, Bob Woodall, both of whom had studied together at the University of Oregon, and their friend Rob Strasser were approached by Jeff Schultz, who was Bob's accountant and a very avid home brewer apparently. But they began construction of their building right on the edge of Lithia Creek in June 1988 in Ashland, Oregon. And this building was a brew pub with the small scale brewing setup in the basement and a 60-seater pub above, and this opened in October of 1988. So their first brews were amber and gold ales in this one, and apparently these went down very well. But despite their location in Ashland being very scenic and their beer being very, very good, the problem was that they were landlocked and they were struggling to sell their products to the levels that they really should have been for the quality of the beer, and for this reason they looked to expand. But in 1989, Jack Joyce travelled to Newport to look for a location for a second pub, but while doing this he encountered a really, really bad snowstorm and he got stuck, so he had to walk the streets to meet Mojave Niemi, who is the founder of the famous Moe's Clam Chowder. I've never heard of this, being Scottish of course, but it's probably very famous in the Oregon area. But she gave him a hot meal and he told her what he was doing in Newport, and as luck would have it, Moe actually owned a suitable location for their new pub, and she sold it to the company for a very reasonable price, on the condition that Rogue gave back to the local community, feed the fishermen if you like, and that they hang a picture of Moe naked in a bathtub in the new brew pub. And apparently it's still there to the left of the bar to this day. But this building that this brew pub was founded in is known as the Front and Case Building. Now in February of 1989, the construction of the Bayfront Brew Pub began in Newport. This is their main base today, and the bar from the old Elk Tavern here was used as the back bar within this building. But a few months later in May, the brewery recruited John Meyer, who was he was a former senior technician at the Hughes Aircraft Company in California, and he'd also previously been working at the Alaska Brewing Company. But their brew pub opened up in May 1989 with their initial fan base being composed mainly of curious locals, many of whom have never left apparently, and many of these locals actually aided in the construction of this brew pub in Newport and in other projects as and when needed. And in the brew pub you can actually see the names of many of these patrons engraved in brass plaques that line the bar today. It's a really nice touch that actually, that they're very appreciative of their very early fans who helped get them up and running. It's quite a good sort of community spirit that they have there in that as well. But the website also mentions one guy, Chuck Lindquist, who was one such customer, and he helped out so much that the brewery consider him as one of their first employees. And you can actually see a lot of the memorabilia that Chuck brought back from his trips to Europe in the brew pub today. But anyway, to tell you a little bit about the ideology of the brewery here, they have what they call the Rogue Creed, and as the name suggests, Rogue Brewing is all about doing things differently. They want to brew unique beers and be innovative in their brewing process. They don't really care about being the biggest brewery in the world, but they're more concerned with doing things right, as they put it, and becoming an industry leader by producing the best beer possible. But they've got two things they talk about in this particular part on their website. You'll find that in the video description as well, so check it out if you're interested in that. But they have their fundamental agreement, and this is in reference to the fermentation process of making the beer. It says the way ahead is clear, be honest about the battlefield, throw out the old rules that don't make sense, get out of the comfort zone, go to the front of the fight and stay there, and most important, cut out all the bullshit. And they also have the thing of the Rogue Way, which they say is their sort of whole principle when it comes to the craft beer, and it says listen generously, speak straight, be there for each other, honour commitments, give acknowledgement and appreciation. And they say that the company mission, it has 5 different points here. It says, to present the finished work with a touch of educational, entertaining mischief, to be dedicated to the rogue in each of us, to remember it is not simply a matter of profit but a highly personal work of art, to build relationships, not just ales, to be a great friends and remember that what is inside that counts. And they've got a very, actually, to tell you a little bit about the other beers that they do, they're actually a very prolific brewery. To date they've brewed over 60 different ales, and again, check out the brewery website that's in the description there and you can get a look at these and all the different ones here. But all their beers are produced using a non-pasteurised process with no preservatives and all natural ingredients. And after all the hops are actually European varieties that are grown in the volcanic soils of the US Northwest, and all their malts are a 2-row blend of Harrington and Clages, and they use a special yeast strain in all their beers known as Pac-Man, which the head brewer Meyer, he rates it very highly. But they say that all their beers are supposed to go with food, and they've actually worked very closely with the likes of Masaharu Morimoto from Iron Chef Program. I've seen that on the TV over here actually, and brewing experts like Jack Eckert, they've worked with these two guys really to achieve this, and they've apparently done it quite well. This is a brewery, I've never tried anything from them, but I've heard very good things. But the brewery also started brewing some artisan spirits in 2003. This includes rum, American whiskey, gin and vodka, and they also seem to sell a number of home brewing kits, so if you're into that sort of thing you can have a look at this again on the website here. But let's get into the tasting of this guy. That's enough of the history for you. I'll just let you have a little look at the bottling cap here. Now this beer apparently, this one is quite interesting. It was introduced in time for the 2000 Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City, Utah, and it's intended as a tribute to winter sports, and it's won a number of awards worldwide. But it's brewed with Amarillo and Rogue hops, and it's malted with Rogue microbarley farm, the farm malts, Dare and Risk. So it's quite interesting that way. But I'll just bring it up and let you have a little look at the bottle art on this one. As you can see, with reference to the Utah Winter Olympics there, you can see that it's got a guy with his sort of ice gear on and his dog sitting there. I quite like the label on this one. It's quite cool actually. And just to let you have a little look at the Rogue bottle cap there as well. This one, it says on the top here, dedicated to the rogue in each of us, as I said, was one of their mission statements there. So this is quite a cool one. I have to say I do like the artwork on this one, and as I say, I had a number of choices of what to pick, but I heard good things about this beer and I also thought the name was funny, so that's my little Rogue element if you like. But let's get this guy out and get on with the tasting. This one is a 6.5% American Pale Ale, and as I say, Amarillo and Rogue hops in this one, so this one should be quite interesting. But let's get this guy out and get on with the tasting here. There we are. A lot of smoke coming off this one, just watching it rise a little bit here. But let's get this out and get on with the tasting here. And you can see it's a really beautiful, nice bright golden colour there. Nice bit of head coming out on this one already, but I'll just shake it up and get a little bit more going. Just watch it doesn't overflow. So okay, here you go. Sit the bottle back down. But as you can see, a really nice sort of bright yellow, deep golden colour here actually. A nice 2-finger head on it there. It's very creamy. A lot of some bigger bubbles in there actually as well, but a very frothy head. 2 fingers. If I hold this up to the light, it's quite hazy actually. I can't really see through it. If I try and wipe the condensation off the glass, still not seeing through it, but you can see just little bubbles of carbonation going up there. Very small bubbles actually. So this one, I'm not sure how the carbonation will play out just from looking at it, but let's give this one a smell here. But yeah, getting a lot of fruitiness in this one actually. This is quite interesting. Very fruity and hop forward aroma here. A lot of grapefruit and sort of orangey citrus, I would say here. This is typical of the Amarillo hops in my experience, but you can pick out like a good bit of pine aromas in here and things. Probably pine resin in here. This is quite typical of the American Pale Ale style. But there's a lot of floral character to it as well. And you can also pick up some bready and yeasty elements here. This will be quite interesting. Like I say, they've got their own Pac-Man yeast, which is supposed to be very unique, and the head brewer rates it very highly. But yeah, there's a really nice smell to this one. It's not overpowering actually. It's not too pungent, which you get with some of the American Pale Ales. It's actually sort of quite mild, but it does have a lot of depth to it. But it's not right in your face, which is quite interesting. But let's give this guy a taste and see how we get on. Yeah, as I was expecting, quite a hop forward beer this one. Quite a bit of bitter character to it actually, but it's very fruity again. You're getting the mix of citrus and grapefruit flavours in there. But the flavours are quite orangey citrus, I would say. I think the citrus and the grapefruit, they're actually very, very well blended. You're getting a good strong hint of both, but you're also getting the sort of pine resin in here as well. The fruit's quickly giving way to the pine resin, which is sticking with you throughout, and it has that sort of hoppy bitterness to it throughout as well. But the malty character is kind of coming out quite briefly, and as I say, you're getting a good bit of sort of maybe biscuity and bready malts in there, and you are picking up just a little bit of the yeast character there too. It's actually got a really nice middle to it, I would say. Yeah, a really sort of nice thing in there. I wonder if there's a little hint of caramel in there in the middle of it, but you're getting a nice sort of bready and yeasty, biscuity middle to it. It's a little bit of sweetness in the middle there. It's really nice actually. And then you're getting the sort of pine resin with the grapefruit and citrusy notes, but mainly the pine resin with that hoppy bitterness on the end. A really sort of nice beer, this one. It has a sort of three clear phases if you like. The big fruity hops coming in the end. Yeah, the nice fruity hops coming in on the start there, sorry. And the sort of nice, sort of sweet bready malts coming out in the middle with a little bit of yeast character, and then at the end you're getting the sort of pine resins and the sort of hoppy bitterness and fruitiness coming out again there. This is a really nice American Pale Ale actually. This is a really, really good one. There's a number of these around, but I mean, as I say, if I go to Oregon in the future, I'd really be quite interested to go and visit their brew pubs and try these on tap. You always get a different feel from the beers on tap, I think, so I'd be really interested to try this one on tap. I tend to find that on tap you get the malts in the middle come out in the beers a bit more, so I'd really love to see this one get a bit more of these malts coming out here on the tap one, so that would be really interesting. But in terms of the mouthfeel on this one, I would describe this one as mid-bodied. It's actually, compared to some of the American Pale Ales that I've had recently, it has quite a good bit of carbonation. The carbonation is quite active on this one, and it has that little hint of dryness throughout, but more so in the aftertaste actually, when you're getting the fruits and the hops coming out again there. As I say, this is a really, really good Pale Ale. It's fairly drinkable, but this one to me is more of a sipper, especially if you get more of the malts coming out on the tap version of this. I would say it's more of a sipper as well. You know, just sip it and enjoy the taste of this one. But this is a really, really nice American Pale Ale. But yeah, I'm getting more convinced that there's a good layer of caramel in there with this one. But as I say, this is a really, really good American style Pale Ale. It's a style I've been getting more familiar with over the last little while with doing these beer reviews, but I have to say this is a really, really good example of it. And as I say, I'd heard very good things about this beer, but I really mainly did pick it because the name was quite funny, I thought. But I have to say I made a good choice. This is a really, really good one. If you get the chance, definitely give this one a try. But I hope this beer review's been informative for you. I've quite enjoyed doing my first Oregon State beer review for you, so hopefully there's more to come. Hopefully I can get a hold of a couple more of these and review them for you at a later date. But I've got a big stockpile of beer just now, so I need to get through that first. But anyway, as I say, I hope the beer review's been informative, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Please do all the usual YouTube stuff. Share, subscribe, comment. Let me know in the comment section your own thoughts on this beer as well. But as I say, I hope it's been informative for you and you've enjoyed it. You've been watching Goddard Radio Moscow, and I'll catch you tomorrow with another beer review. Cheers.